All right, welcome back to another Wright Stew podcast. I am Paul Stewart.
I am Brian Wright, and we missed kind of my first favorite day, but kind of my second favorite day. We missed Friday Eve, but now we are to Friday. That was really on me. Life happens. It's tough, right? Doing this every day, just because schedules, my schedule, your schedule. I mean, it's just a lot. It's a lot. Hey, and you have brought Speaker Studio with you on a nice little road trip. It looks pretty good behind you.
We're doing some road tripping, Brian. And so my son and I, we're in a hotel, and we are in Cincinnati, Ohio, baby. We got tickets to see the Pirates at Reds tonight and tomorrow night. We try to go see at least a ballpark a year. It's been a fun here. So it started a few years ago, Brian. We got tickets to the Orioles and Red Sox. Just kind of like a random August day. I wanted to take him to a big league game. We went up there. And actually, you know what? No, sorry. We went earlier in the summer during spring break. We went to D.C. and saw the Nationals. Saw Nationals and Diamondbacks game. Wanted to take him to his first big league game. Had a blast. Had a good time. Went and saw a lot of the stuff in D.C. Later that summer, we get tickets to the Orioles and Red Sox. We go on a Saturday, and I said, gosh, the Philadelphia is only an hour and a half away, and they're at home. So we drove over to Philly. Saw a game there. Got home really late that night, but it was summer break. It was fine. And then we get home. People are like, are you guys trying to see all the big league ballparks?
Yeah.
And that was not like a stated goal, but then I was like, yes, we are. What?
Yeah.
Yes, we are. And so since then, we flew up to New York. He actually took his first plane trip a couple years ago. Spring break, we saw the Yankees and Mets. Last year for spring break, we went down to Florida. We drove to Miami. Then we went to Tampa. Saw 2 games in Tampa. Love the Trop. With our travel team, we went down to Atlanta. We saw the Braves game down there. That was a lot of fun. So this will be our first team that we've seen together that's outside of either the AL or NL East. So we'll be seeing at home at least. We've seen the Pirates play, but this will be the first home game we've seen from a Central Division team. So, man, we're excited about it. Excited.
Have you been to Fenway? You've been to New York, right? You've been to.
So I've been to Fenway. He has not. We have not. So we're trying to do this together, right? So these are stadiums we're seeing together.
So either ones you've seen, because y'all's grouped together, I guess. Well, let me ask you 2 different questions. Like the ones that you guys have been to, has there been one that's an obvious favorite? And that's part 1 of the question.
Okay.
And part 2 of the question is, of the ones that you have been to, have you been like, man, that was a pretty awesome experience. I like how this is set up. I like where this is. I like the history here. Or is there any that stand out?
So the ones we've been to together have all been, man, they've like big league ballparks now are beautiful and amazing. They've all been really good. For me, it's honestly been a little more about atmosphere because a lot of the parks are so close. The atmosphere at Citizens Bank in Philly was amazing and phenomenal. Man, I told you, I really enjoyed the Trop, man. It was just a different experience. Kind of indoor baseball was really interesting and fun. Yankee Stadium it was everything you would expect. It was the Bronx, it was the people, it was them yelling and cussing at the players and then telling them they love them in the next sentence sort of thing. Not Shea, but Citi Field was really nice in New York as well. The one that probably my least favorite, honestly, was Lone Depot down in Miami, and it was more because the stadium was beautiful, zero atmosphere.
Yeah,
no fans, and it was like opening weekend. It was like the second game of their homestand. No fans. Music was like way too loud. Just didn't enjoy it. Just not a great experience. But the ballpark, the baseball was fun. That that was probably my least favorite of the ones we've been to. And then what was the second part of your question? Oh, me personally. So I've been to Wrigley. I've been to Old Oakland Alameda Coliseum. I've been to Fenway, but I've never actually seen a game at Fenway. Like I went Wrigley felt just like so. I saw Wrigley. I was there in '98, so it was before they did a lot of the renovations. It felt just like a bigger minor league park. Honestly, it didn't wow me the way I wanted it to. And the ivy wasn't green yet, as well. I saw it earlier in the year. Um, Growing up a huge Cubs fan, it was honestly it was kind of a little disappointing, just because I wanted more. I don't know what I wanted, but I wanted more.
Yeah.
Uh, Fenway was cool to see. We actually So when I signed with the Red Sox, my wife and I just drove up to Boston and did just to see Boston, and we signed my contract. It wasn't like a press conference or anything. We just wanted to do it, and so we signed the contract. And then did so Theo Epstein was like the assistant GM, so Theo Epstein actually gave us a tour of Fenway Park,
Oh, that's pretty
so
cool.
which was pretty cool. And then my wife later on in the season, when we would go on the road, so Freddie Sanchez, who he was kind of up and down with the Sox, and then went over to the Pirates, and then won a World Series with the Giants. Freddie was a good friend on the team, and his wife and my wife became really good friends. So we would go on the road, and if he was up, she would go, "Hey, just come to Boston, hang out." And so she's seen several games in Boston, but she has seen it from like the wives' lounge.
Right.
So her perspective on a game from Boston is way different than most normal people. She was down there with like Kurt Schilling's wife and Big Poppy's wife and like the 2003 Boston Red Sox wives, and she's just she kind of kept to the younger wives, the ones who didn't have multi-million-dollar contracts, but she was like, wow, she's like, you need to pitch better. I was like, I know, like
Yeah.
I want to do this. I'm like, I want you to do this, honey. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. But these
Oh
Buffalo Bison,
man. Yeah, that's a
these
lot of
Buffalo Bison are
doing a little
good. I can't get them
exercise.
out. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I got old Pac Bell. I guess San Francisco. I got to go to Pac Bell Park, walk on the field and stuff. Never seen a game. I've heard that's amazing to see a game there. But and honestly, like I said, for me, it's a lot of it is about atmosphere and things like that. I remember going to when I was in the Arizona Fall League, we would have Sundays off, and I went to a couple of Arizona Cardinals games out there, and that one felt like, and it was that old Sun Devil Stadium. So it wasn't like a beautiful, it was like the Arizona State football stadium. But that one felt like super lived in, super like, and I sat like, I bought like the $10 bleacher seats in the end zone. And I was sitting there by myself like a loser, but um, I would always kind of sit near a group of people who were about my age, but you could tell they grew up going to the games together. And I love just hearing them. They're spitting out like old school names and stuff, and then they're just cracking on each. So like again, that was part of that atmosphere. So I really enjoyed those games as well. So I think it's maybe I'm a little different that way. Like the amenities and stuff. Some of it feels a little too sterile. You know what I mean? Like it's too clean almost. Like just I don't know. That's me.
Yeah, the foods is the ones that I would, I'm curious. They've done every park seems to have some different foods. But hey, Paulie, before we go down, and I'm sure we'll get some updates on Cincinnati this weekend. Hey, how about firing a coach that the previous year they win their championship and are in the playoffs, very much going to be in the playoffs. You got probably, top 3 or 4 best player in the world playing on your team, and you fire your coach with just a handful of games left before the end of the season.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're talking about the Denver Nuggets.
Michael Malone was fired a couple of days ago, as well as Calvin Booth, the GM, was let go. Yeah, really, really interesting timing on that. You would think if you're going to make that move, clearly that it's been thought about for some time now, right? But if you're going to make that move, you would think, let's do it with a month to go in the season, so at least we can get a coach in there to kind of gel the guys or whatever it is. But like with 3 or 4 games left in the season, like it seems like awful timing. It seems like it's going to throw the team into more kind of like a more of a tumultuous situation than anything. It shocked me, dude. And especially he won the title last year, but the quote given by the president was things weren't trending in the right direction. We didn't like some of the things we saw. Nothing very specific, right? And I think you're not going to get the honest truth, right? He's not going to come out and be like, we just hated him. He was a jerk. They're not going to say that, but man, like, I mean, I got Kevin Keats being fired the year after he went to the Final Four because that felt kind of like a fluke. But I mean, they won the NBA title, dude. Like,
and Denver
at least give them a playoff
hasn't
run.
done a whole lot. I feel like what's kind of unique is in the NBA, it's a bit different culturally. Generally, your players have a lot of say so.
Yeah.
I would be curious what the Joker. I mean, I like the coaches fighting some of the not backing down from some of the comments whenever they were going back and forth in the NBA Finals last year. I really like kind of his, hey, we are who we are. Hey, if you got something to say about us, we're going to defend ourselves verbally on the court, whatever the case may be. I kind of like that. Yeah, man. I don't know. And I know NBA, you could say coaches don't do a whole lot, right? But man, the good ones feel like they do.
Yeah.
JJ Redick has done a great job with the Lakers, right? And again, I haven't followed it extremely close, but the Lakers were either the first team in or one of the last teams in, or barely in.
Yeah.
I know
they're like that 9-10 game, whatever.
Yeah, and that make it now. And so it feels like coaches do make a difference. I think a lot of it is culture. A lot of it is kind of managing personalities and trying to do some X's and O's to strategy. But man, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right when you have kind of a historical successful season to be fired the next year when you're still in the playoffs and very much able.
He was the winningest coach in Nuggets history as well. So it's not just like a kind of a one-time thing. And
it feels like a personality issue. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of retreads in NBA. I mean, they all, with a handful of exceptions, have went. Pop has been forever at San Antonio. They gave him a lot of grace down there. And, Kerr's obviously been a long time. He's won a lot with the Warriors. And famously, Jackson was where he was for the longest times whenever he had the right players. But, man, it doesn't feel right. There's no job security, in that. But there is a lot of money in it, so I'm sure he's well taken care of, but I don't like it at all.
Well, you mentioned a little bit of it as well. The NBA culture is very player led.
Yeah.
If players don't like a coach, that coach is gone pretty quick. LeBron notoriously has gotten several coaches fired. Like, don't like this guy, he's out of there, right? And it's interesting because the NBA is an individual star league, right? The players have way more say and pull and the ability to do such things than, say, like the NFL, right? The NFL, Mike Tomlin's going to be there until he don't want to be there, right? I mean, there's rumblings of him leaving, but the NFL is very much a team. The head coach is, the buck stops there sort of thing.
You can argue the quarterback a little bit, and a very established quarterback has some pull, but yeah, for the most part, I definitely agree. And baseball is a different culture altogether.
Yeah, and baseball is just totally different, depending on which team you're with. But yeah, really interesting move, and the Nuggets are in the thick of the playoffs right now. Currently tied for the 4th spot. Half a game ahead of the Lakers. There could be move up to the 3 spot, depending on how the last few games shake out. So they're likely going to be a top 4 seed and get home court advantage as well. So
at least in the first round, I haven't watched a ton of NBA, and I've spoken on just political and a little bit, but man, the athletes are so phenomenal. I may jump back in. Baseball wise, my Tigers are doing pretty good. They're still figuring out ways to get dubs. They're battling the Yanks. Hey, so my brother was actually up in Detroit. Didn't get to go to a game, but I saw the first couple of innings of one of the Yankees games. I think it was Monday night or Tuesday.
Yeah,
straight snow. And I know you have played in that environment. I think you have.
Yeah, it's awful.
it seems like a terrible environment. They moved a couple of games up to 1 o'clock games. They're supposed to be night games.
Yeah.
Talk about, and I know I can speak on it from a hitter's perspective some, but talk about what it's like trying to get ready to pitch in these super cold, below 35-degree environments. What do you have to do? Can you get ready? Do you ever feel close to what you feel like in a summer day?
No, well, especially growing up in the South, right? Like we're doing tryouts in February, and it's still like it's cold to us, but people from Michigan be like, oh,
It's 50.
this is the warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. We're in the 50s and we're miserable, but realistically, you can play some ball in that. No, I think the biggest thing it takes longer to get loose. It takes longer to build up a sweat. It takes longer. And then in between innings, you got to make sure you got your jackets on, your hat, stand warm, that sort of thing. And then, pitching is so much about your fingertips and having a feel for the ball. It's constantly blowing on your hands and trying to keep them warm and rubbing them together and just doing all you can to stay warm during the game. Once you get out there and get your warm-up pitches in, typically you get kind of in the flow of the game and mentally you can start to overcome some things. But there's some games when it's like if you just can't get it going from the get-go, it's really, really tough to stay warm and to get any sort of rhythm or momentum or any like really just feel for the ball. And
did you feel like velocity would be down on those cold days, or did you? I'm sure you checked. I mean, I know they were putting guns on you. I know maybe you weren't able to turn around and see them in the stadium.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't in your face like it is now. Like there wasn't guns everywhere. We could see everything. I think the charts were always typically pretty close to the same. Maybe a tick down or so, but not. It wasn't like 5 miles per hour. It was pretty close, but I think so. Throwing to hitters, my objective was in, keep the ball in, try to get it on their fists, try to get it on their hands.
Because they wanted no part of that. They're going to fly. It sets everything else up because you want barrel, especially with minor league wood. You want barrel to ball. Otherwise, you're getting lit up. Hey, Bauer talked about this a lot. I watch a lot of his YouTube stuff. I'm interested. I think he's an interesting guy. He talks about the difference in how the ball acts at sea level versus elevation. I know you have spoken on how the ball acts with thin air or desert air compared to normal humidity. And obviously, Coors is famously a little bit different. Yeah. Have you ever noticed like how your fork ball used to work or how your breaking ball used to work in different elevations?
Not so much the fork ball because that almost came out like a knuckleball, so that was just kind of funky anyway. It was all over the place. Definitely with the sinker, I could tell the sinker moved more like in the Southern League compared to the California League, right? In different parts, or even like the northern part to the southern part of the California League. I could see the ball moving a little more in that sort of situation. So definitely you can see how that affected. And then you hear about, like I said, people playing in Coors or at Mile High Stadium in football having, don't breathe as well, that sort of thing, or it's different kind of training. So I could definitely see that sort of thing. And against baseball, all sports are games of adjustment. So you just got to figure out how to adjust. And sometimes what it does is it forces your hand to develop a new pitch or as a hitter, develop a new strategy, which helps you at the next level, right? Because realistically, the goal is to get to the big leagues. And once you get to the big leagues, you're playing literally in every corner of the country. So you've got to be able to adjust to those sort of things, right? And certainly, and now with like the spider tack and tar being taken off away from pitchers, you can only do so much, right? So you're gonna have to learn how to manipulate the ball in different ways to get it moving, left, right, up, down, all that sort of thing. So yeah.
Hey, so last thing on that, just thinking, just made me think of another question I wanted to ask you. Like pitching, like pitches development, right? So famously, Paul Skeen's got the splinter. They're talking about all this, and I know we didn't necessarily have like RPMs and how much drop and how much movement it was having, but how often did you try to work on other pitches that you could add to your repertoire? What did you start with? Did you add, take away? Were there anything that you felt like you could have done did you try to add pitches? Like, hey, I was more of a
Nah,
slider guy. I tried to go to more of a 12-6 curveball. Was there any of that stuff?
yeah. No, because so I was a bit of a different bird, right? Because, and I've shared this before, like when I was in Little League or high school, I probably could have just thrown fastballs to 6 out of the 9 people in the lineup and struck them out, right? Or gotten them out pretty easily. And then so my brother-in-law actually, who was my pitching coach, he wasn't my brother-in-law at the time, but became my brother-in-law later on. Taught me a forkball in 10th grade, and that was my out pitch. I had a garbage curveball, I had a garbage changeup. But so throwing hard almost was a detriment to me developing as a pitcher because I didn't have to throw the other things. I threw fastball, fastball, forkball, 1, 2, 3, right? And I got into pro ball, and I've shared the story before, but after my second year of pro ball, they said, "Hey, we don't want you throwing your forkball anymore."
Yeah.
And so then I had to start working on a slider, or so all of 1998. I'm like, all right, am I going to be a curveball guy? Am I going to be a slider guy? And some days I would get there, my curveball would look really good, and then the next game it was nowhere to be found, and curveball was a lot harder for me to throw because it was almost like it was a different pitch, like you're trying to get on top of it. Whereas slider became easier for me to throw because it was almost like a fastball that you just flick the wrist at the end. And so that was easier for me to control. You could throw it a little harder. It was like almost like just kind of a modified fastball. And mine ended up becoming like a little bit of a sweeper almost. What they would call a sweeper now, like we call it a slurve, right?
Yeah.
Um, but again, I wasn't one. The changeup was my only pitch that I constantly kind of tinkered with because I've shared too. Mine was always really bad, and I never had a lot of confidence with any grip. Even I remember my last year of pro ball. Darren Knowles was our pitch coach. He had me throw like the fa. He called it the fosh. So it's almost like I'm holding my hand up here, where it's like I'm giving a peace sign, but my middle ring and pinky finger are together, and then you would put the ball in between your index and middle finger and throw it kind of like that. So I tried that for a little bit. I could just never. I never had a feel for it, and
Yeah. Yeah. I was just curious how much you'd mess with pitches and how much you had to add. I know as a hitter, I was tinkering. I was the tinker guy. I was willing to change at any drop of the hat, which worked out for me for a long time. Obviously, injuries you can't do it, but so much with
yeah.
those. So it's just interesting to hear, that you're trying to feel your way through it.
Well, I
Hey,
remember
so
we
talking
said we
about
said
Cincinnati, I got a question. I'm sorry. Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say Cal Ripken was the same way. I remember because we were big Orioles fans growing up because we lived outside of DC, and Ripken had it was like he had a different stance every week, dude. He
Dude,
was
he played the violin. He played the violin for a while. He
yeah.
did all kinds of crazy stuff. He looked like a softball player at
He would stand
times.
up, he would squat down, he would hands
Yes.
back, hands forward, like he was all over the place.
And I was not maybe to that extreme, but I would definitely move hands away from the body, into the body, farther back, up close, squat down more, bend over more. I was willing to make adjustments. And it worked. It worked at least collegiately and professionally. It's hard to say just because I didn't play long enough. But I was very open to change. And Kyle Ripken was a great one that was obviously open to change.
Yeah, clearly he was one of the best. So
Hey,
Brian,
talk us through. Hey, what are you looking forward to? Cincinnati, Skyline Chili. Get us out of here on this. Hey, what are you looking forward to seeing? Whether the players you're going to see or the atmosphere. What are you looking forward to seeing? I've got a couple of things that if I was there, I would want to see. But I'm just curious what you're looking
yeah,
forward
yeah.
to seeing.
So we still haven't got our plans together during the day. A few of the options. So if you're watching this, comment in the YouTube, whatever. Uh, Potentially go to the zoo during the day. There's an aquarium, or just a tour of the. My son actually wanted to do a tour of the Bengals stadium, but there's renovations. It's right next door to it. There's renovations going on, so they're not doing tours. We may just do a tour of Great American Ballpark. But man, so from player perspective, I
Yes.
mean, Ellie Dela and O'Neal Cruz, I think,
Yes.
are the two.
I would love to just see him throw from shortstop and see how
Yeah,
that body works, man. Both feel similar. Feel like they could be brothers, cousins, something.
both really tall, lean, lanky, similar builds. Yeah, excited to see ball jumps off their bats. So excited to see those guys.
Hey, Deli,
Um,
where do they got him playing? They were talking about him playing outfield. Is he back at short, or did they send him to outfield?
I think he's been bouncing back and forth actually. But then the pitching matchups, we got Bailey Falter versus Brady Singer for the Reds in game one.
I know I've heard of, kind of know of Brady Singer. Do you know the other one? Just if you
No,
were.
no, know them that well. Their numbers look pretty good. Um, and then for Pittsburgh, it's Andrew Heaney on Saturday, and the Reds are undecided right now for that. So, yeah,
Getting some 4 or 5 starters.
yeah. I mean, clearly not seeing Skeens or Jones or whatever. So that's kind of a just missing those guys. But that's I mean, you're like, man, 2 games you don't get to see them. You gotta. So yeah, we'll see him in the dugout. We'll be hollering at, hey Paul,
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Hey, younger Paul, which is, we talked about this earlier. The name is, you don't see him on young people that often. And so to have he's 23, 24-year-old throwing cheddar, named Paul, that's pretty awesome. But hey,
Yeah,
enjoy your trip. I'm glad you were able to take Speaker
yeah,
Studios with you.
So we'll give a full report of our visit to Great American Ballpark and all things Cincinnati Reds, Pittsburgh Pirates, and yeah, looking forward to it. Excited about it. Brian, do you have any big plans this Friday evening?
Got a little dance competition. Nothing that maybe everybody would care about, but so a little dance I'm gonna watch, and probably do a little baseball. So a little baseball training. So all right, hey, be good. Hey, go Pack, go Tigers.
Absolutely. Y'all enjoy your Friday.
Out.